So this is our finished project for the day. We'll tackle this again tomorrow. So it's thinned down pretty good. I'm happy that it didn't break. You know, it's a pretty decent length. There's a little bit of an island right there, but we'll either hide that when we haft it, or we'll just work it out when we continue to thin this. But pretty cool point. Pretty happy that I didn't bust the tip off of it. It's kind of what I normally do. So, awesome. Thanks, guys. Hope you're doing awesome. Take care. Bye. Hey guys, Greenbird here. I hope everyone is doing awesome. I'm a little bored. Have not been doing mapping in a while. There's a reason for that, but maybe that's another video. So I thought I'd finish up work on this slab here. This is the same slab that I took flakes off for the video for TWrecks I. Maybe, let's see if we can finish this. It's kind of a good example too, because right here on the bottom I did actually get an island. I don't generally get islands, but this is, you know, really a good time for it to happen, because that's exactly the issue that TWrecks was talking about. Alright, so I haven't sharpened my tools or anything, but I'm just going to go for it anyway. It's not bad. And I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to try something a little bit different. So, it's very common to bust the tips off of these, and that's from shock and support and a bunch of other things. There's a million videos out there and I've talked about it, but my point is that I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to work the tip, then I'm going to skip and work the base, keeping it thicker in the middle, which, you know, should follow the general rules of preventing end shock. So this tip is going to require some creativity, because it's, you know, there's no way I can get it from the side, so I still might break this or do a little bit of damage, but let's just kind of see. In fact, that other side isn't even ground. Normally I wouldn't flip back and forth from side to side, but I think in this case, because the tip is so thick, I don't want it to you know, become a problem later down the road. I'm just going to thin it out right now, take care of it. Of course, it's still giving me a little bit of a problem. What I'm doing now is just zigzagging back and forth. I'm going to lose some of this, and it's still going to be blunt. I'm still going to need to sharpen it, but at least I'm going to get rid of all those, that edge that has the saw marks on it. And I'm sure there's a better way to do this. Like I said, I'm not a professional, but this is what works for me. Like I said, all I'm trying to do is just preserve as much length on this as I can. Alright, that's not bad. So I took off that thick tip. It's still thick there, but I took off the, you know, the thick part with the saw marks. It's technically ready to receive a zigzag on each side, but you know, way too thick to really do that. I mean, you could do it. You could, but you'd have a pretty thick point, which still could be sharpened and viable. There's a lot out there that like that, that like those thick points. And there's nothing wrong with them as long as you can sharpen them, get them to, you know, ethically take game. If that's what you're looking to do with it. Alright, so both sides are ground. I think I'm going to start with this side. So I know these videos are kind of boring, but I'm just doing the same thing over and over. So I thought, that piece is a little thick, I gotta back up. So I thought maybe I would share a cool story. When I was a kid, this middle is very, oh, hopefully I don't snap this here. When I was a kid, it was a very tough economical time. There was not a lot of money to go around. And I think I said in one of my other videos, and again, this is just, you know, this is just lighthearted. This isn't meant to be some sort of, you know, feel bad for me, all that BS. There's enough of that already out there on the internet. But, so anyway, so when I was young, I didn't know it because my parents did such an awesome job of hiding it from me, but we were really, really poor. And a lot of times, you know, it depended on, you know, when we went fishing, whether or not we caught fish, that determined what we ate and what we didn't eat. And I remember one day, I don't know the circumstances. I don't know if we didn't catch fish or if it was something else, but let me back just up a little bit. So there was a neighbor that we had, and his wife, I believe, I hope I have this story right, if not my mother will correct me, his wife liked chicken livers. So anytime we would get a chicken, we would save the livers for him, or for her rather, sorry. And that same house, they had this pipe coming out of their yard. I think it was a sewage pipe of some sort, and as a kid, of course, I just couldn't resist. I had to kick that thing every time I went into the yard. And my parents would keep telling me, don't kick that, don't kick that, and I just couldn't help myself. But anyway, so we would save the chicken livers from all the chickens that we got for this guy's wife. Pretty sure it was his wife. I hope I have this story right. And one day, for whatever reason, I don't know, because again, my parents were awesome, we didn't have dinner for that night. Or, you know, I didn't know that, but that was the case. So my parents took those chicken gizzards out behind my back without me knowing. Put them into a soup, put them into a stock of some sort. Honestly, I can't even remember what they were in there for vegetables, but and she called it lizard gizzard soup. So she was so excited. She was like, oh, tonight you're having lizard gizzard soup. This is the best ever. And of course, as a, you know, 5, 6-year-old boy, I'm like, yeah, this is the best thing ever. You know, they were such great parents. This needs more grinding. Yeah, I was convinced that I had eaten dinosaurs. Dinosaur soup. Lizard gizzard soup. But, pretty cool when you think about it. And I'm sure everybody, ouch, ooh, I just got myself. Yikes, that is sharp. I'm sure everybody has those stories. Ooh, I just barely grazed my hand against the base of this, and I cut myself. Have to respect the rock. That just sounded terrible. Okay. Flip this over. Just doing my best not to break this in half. Then a little bit, split second since I've worked a slab. And ideally you don't want to have to flip it over back and forth, but you know, that's ideally. What I really don't want to do is I just do not want to break the tip off of this. So I'm just kind of flipping back and forth to see where the high spots are that I can take off. That will put a lot of pressure on the stone itself. Again, I don't know if this is the best way or not. I am not an expert, I'm not a teacher, I'm just sharing what I'm doing. And there are a lot of awesome channels out there that do the exact same. If you have not checked out Dave Tembears, Charles McKinney, TWrecks I think I'm probably forgetting a couple. Pay close attention. So what's happening is I'm driving these flakes across, but I want to make sure that I, you know, yeah, see, I can see I'm chipping sort of into the edge, which prevents the flake from feathering out in this direction, sort of gives me a little bit of steps, increases my concavity. I'm sorry, my convexity, rather. So, not sure how that will come into play, but, you know, we've got plenty of point to break down, so we will see. And I think I'm going to do the same thing. I think I'm going to grind both sides. I don't normally do that. That works okay for me. Getting some dust in the air. I'm not super excited about that. Alright, so I want to be careful not to zigzag here because I do have that tip, you know, broken into. So I could start to zigzag that, but it's way too soon to do that. If I start zigzagging now, it's just going to be a really thick point. And thick points aren't always a bad thing, but they're a little more difficult to sharpen. I mean, it is nice because they have that structural integrity, but you also want to have a you know, good ethical point, as best you can anyway. So I'm just working my way down here with the pressure flaker, trying to take good flakes, being conscious of my support here, because if I support this too thick in the middle, it's going to snap it right in half. and the thinner this point gets, the more sensitive to that it's going to be. One thing I'm also doing is I'm making sure that I clean out the groove there of my pad, because that is, surprisingly, that's actually another, I don't know, not leading cause, but that can cause some issues during your flaking and cause breakage. Go back up just a little bit because there's a high spot I want to get. Look at that. So, I try not to obsess over one side. Trust me. So I'm going to flip it over, go back to the other side. I know I can make this side prettier, but I have to go back to this side. Because we want to give it equal love. Still being careful. Clean the pad. Okay. Gotta keep an eye on your form. Got sloppy there for a minute. That time I got lucky too. I could feel after the flake I was supporting way too much, which means I could have snapped that point in half right there at that point. It's not hard, you just have to pay attention. So what I'm trying to do is keep an eye on the outside of my point. I don't know, not the outside, but like the tips, the tip of the base, because I feel like if I can do a better job of that, I won't break as many points from shock. So keeping the middle of the point thicker than the rest of it. You know, which is what you're, what you want to do anyway, but sometimes it's tough. I mean, when you're working when you're using percussion, it's a little bit easier because you can kind of pick and choose where your platforms are, but when you're doing pressure or indirect, you pretty much have to run that line, at least with pressure, at least, to the best of my knowledge. I'm going to give it one more pass here real quick. Then I'm going to warm up. So, alright, so on this side it does look good. Looks like the middle of it is thicker than the tips. That's exactly what I wanted. It's pretty good on the other side too. So let's try and thin this down a little bit more without snapping off the tip. That sliding sound on that last flake was not optimal, but you kind of only get one shot. You can come back and fix it later. Alright, this is looking pretty decent on this side. I'm happy. Ouch. Stuff is sharp and likes to bite. That's grabby. Alright, so I'm going to stop here for right this second. Maybe warm up for a second and come back, but this is where we're at right now. This is the point. can see we've made really good progress on those edges. This side already is sharp. You can tell because it cut me. I've got the proof. I don't know, somehow I got blood on top of me too, but anyway, that's where we're at. Looks like it's getting thin with some decent even convexity, so we'll come back, I'll wash up, I'll clean up a little bit, I'll warm up, maybe we'll finish it. Hey guys, welcome back. I'm going to grind off these edges. And this is really cool too. I just want to point this out. See what the edges are. You could actually zigzag those right now. And that's something that I have done. And zigzag those. But you know, what I have found is that while that gives me a sharp edge, and you know, certainly makes for a viable point, I still have the opportunity to get this point a little bit thinner and still retain the you know, structural integrity. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and take a few more flakes off here as best I can before I start to zigzag. Being careful with my pressure, my support. It's kind of tricky, but the way you work slabs, you'll start to get it. I'm going to skip that because I got some steps. Actually, I need to thin this spot out here. Might be time to start zigzagging. I might be as thin as I'm going to get on this. Oof, got lucky on that one. I could feel my support was off. I'm really lucky that I didn't just break that. Yeah, let's definitely not do that again. Not putting any pressure against there, just supporting it. Any pressure on that middle where that groove is, that'll snap your point for sure. I mean, your point could snap anyway, but that will definitely encourage that to happen. Alright, we're making some good progress here. Letting that flake fall out every time. That's so important. That will jam you up and cause terminations. That's a little different. So as you get thinner, it's bound to happen, just like right here. You can see that that went from the sawed edge all the way to, you know, completely, you know, napped or broken off edge, depending upon how you like to look at it. which means we're really, really, really close to zigzagging. So I'm actually going to pick and choose. I don't normally do this, but I'm going to pick and choose some of the high spots to take off to even this out so that I don't take a chance on breaking this point. Obviously taking the high spots that are in the tip and the base area first before the center. Keeping the center thicker than the rest. That's obviously a must. As I say with my daughter, that's a have to, not a want to. Because that's how the world is, you know, how the currency of authority is exercised. There's have tos and want tos. Don't know who the genius is who thought of that. All right, so okay, there we go. This is looking good. Oh yeah. Let's totally not break this. That's my heater. Sorry, guys. If I should zigzag or if I should try and pop some more flakes off first. Maybe I'll push it and try and pop some more flakes off. Yeah. It's pretty thin on this side. I think I'll pop some more flakes off on this side, and then we're just going to zigzag it. Because that's where we're at. The tip is just really thick. I hope we don't run into problems there. Alright. So this is as thin as I got it. I could probably get it thinner. I mean, I know I could actually. But I'm just going to zigzag this. Turn this into a spear point. It's been a really, really, really fun project. This is all because of TWrecks. I made a video on taking some long flakes for him, but that morphed into an awesome adventure for me. So thanks, TWrecks. TWrecks 911. I think that so I'm gonna look at this here, see what the. Yeah, I'm gonna start on this side. I think I'm gonna start where the edge already is. I'm just gonna zigzag. Sometimes you have to zig twice before you zag. You know what I mean? What I'm saying is that sometimes you take a bite off of one side, and it might not have been enough. You might have to go back and take a second bite off that same side. So just because you're zigzagging, it's like anything else in life. Don't get caught up in it. That's what makes sense. It's going to help you achieve your objective. These are some small bites. Alright, though. Now once it gets up here, it's a lot thinner. It It's a little bit more hairy. Not sure if I maybe should have worked the other side first before I ran up this far on this side, but that's it. Grind. I know that feeling. Get that sound. That usually means you need to grind. Alright, this is great news. Made it all the way up this one side without breaking the tip off. This is really good because I'm pretty known for snapping the tips off, and this is super thick in the front, so we might lose a little bit there, but I'm still going to try not to. So I'm not zigzagging, I'm still actually taking just downward strokes like this. Alright, so this is my edge right now. I think I'm going to zigzag this. I'm gonna touch it up for sure, but I think I'm going to zigzag this. I just have to, this tip is so thick that I really need to do something about that. It's going to break off if I don't thin it. So it's either going to break off when I try and work it, or break off after, one or the other. Just going to have to deal with that. I'm going to start the zigzag on this side. I think this video is going super long. just zigzagging back and forth, trying to take off those saw marks at a decent angle, so it still creates, you know, that edge, not just chipping it off. Careful not to break the point at this part though, because put that wrong pressure on there, man, you'll just break it in half. Ooh, like right here, these are pretty aggressively inward flakes. I'm not sure if the camera's picking that up. I can't see through the glasses, but so let's back off a little bit. So this is what it looks like now. Side 1, side 2, just ready for some notches, a little bit of fine tuning and some sharpening, and that is an amazing spear point. So this is our finished project for the day. We'll tackle this again tomorrow. So it's thinned down pretty good. I'm happy that it didn't break. You know, it's a pretty decent length. There's a little bit of an island right there, but we'll either hide that when we haft it, or we'll just work it out when we continue to thin this. But pretty cool point. Pretty happy that I didn't bust the tip off of it. It's kind of what I normally do. So, awesome. Thanks, guys. Hope you're doing awesome. Take care. Bye.